Bilirsiniz, bizim tarihi qələbəmiz o qədər.
You know, our historic victory was so brilliant, and when our sovereignty was restored over the entire area, as a result of the operation that lasted only a few hours, some could not even comprehend it. It began and ended so quickly, at the same time. Against the background of this brilliant victory, the capture of the characters you mentioned was somewhat overshadowed, but this in itself is a great historic event. The criminals who waged a bloody war against us, committed vandalism, perpetrated the Khojaly genocide, destroyed our lands, cities and villages, have been arrested, detained, and will be brought to justice soon. Among them are all the former leaders of Karabakh, the so-called prime minister who was imported to Karabakh, and others. Only 2 people are missing from that group. They are in Yerevan. And if they were here too, the full team would be assembled. This is indeed a celebration of justice. And when I said that we must have faith in justice and fight for it, this is exactly what I meant. They could never have imagined that their wishes to have tea in Baku would be fulfilled like that, and that they would be sitting in the detention center in Baku and waiting for the court judgment. As for the peace treaty, I must say this again. I have already mentioned that when the Second Karabakh War ended, there was a certain vacuum, and no one knew what would happen next, because it is really a unique situation. And it was the Azerbaijani side that suggested at that time that there should be a peace treaty to fill this gap. In any case, negotiations should be started. Even representatives of the Minsk group, which was still active at the time, came to me asking what they should be doing. In other words, they asked for my advice. I said that the Karabakh issue had already been resolved. If you want to do something good, you can participate in the Armenia-Azerbaijan normalization process, but no offer followed. Then we put forward this proposal ourselves, but even after it was put forward, there was no response. After that, we defined the well-known 5 principles, and negotiations started based on these principles. It is true that Armenia and some other countries wanted to add the subject of Karabakh to these principles at that time. However, we were against it from day one, because I said that Karabakh is our internal matter, and if a peace agreement is signed, it will be an agreement between states. I also stated that it should be a very concise document, not 5 to 10 volumes, but a maximum of 5 to 10 pages, just the fundamental principles. There is no need for inventing a bicycle here. The principles of international law should be applied here. However, the negotiations did not give rise to any particular hopes for a while, because Armenia and certain countries standing behind it insisted on including the issue of Karabakh there, especially the issue of its status. After some time, the real situation, our steps and position, including the location of the status as indicated by me, led to some changes in their position. There was no longer the issue of a status, but one of the rights and security for the Armenians living in Karabakh that both Armenia and its patrons were trying to include in it. In response, we said that if this is the case, then the rights and security of the Azerbaijanis who were expelled from Armenia should also be included there with the same terms. Everything should be mutual, and their argumentation, i.e., let's call this group Armenia Plus, was very illogical. They were expelled 30 years ago, but these people are here. In other words, they do not have equal rights. However, this was actually a racist approach. Our position remained unchanged. Either this issue is not reflected in the peace treaty, or the rights and security of both peoples will be reflected. This was the main reason why the negotiations were so ineffective. After the events of September, we were faced with a new situation. The promises were made to Armenia, especially in the UN and the European Union, that sanctions would be applied against Azerbaijan, that Azerbaijan would come under great pressure, and this so-called operation would cost Azerbaijan dearly. All these communications created confidence in Armenia that they could draw up the peace agreement as they want, and that someone can pressure us into agreeing to it. This was why they didn't respond to our proposal for 70 days, because proposals were exchanged here 5 to 6 times and texts were sent for review. When we officially informed them that we had been waiting for 70 days, or it was perhaps 60 days, they made an offer, and now their comments do not contain a single word about Karabakh and the Armenians of Karabakh. So, this topic has already been removed, and real conditions have emerged for signing a peace agreement only now, after the September operation. I should also point out that in contrast to them, we provided our comments after 30 days, not 70 days, and 2 weeks later they submitted new comments on January 4. So, the question may still be asked, if these comments can be provided in 2 weeks, why did it take you 70 days last time? So, my hypothesis is fully proven. This was an explanation of some of the behind-the-scenes events. I think this might be interesting for you and the public. But the main thing is that I believe the fundamental conditions for the signing of a peace treaty have now been created. Therefore, work on the wording should progress fast. There is also another issue. As probably know, Armenia is seeking the guarantors for this peace treaty. We believe that there is no need for that. This is a peace treaty to be signed between two sovereign states. We don't need any guarantors here. And if it is going to be signed in a bilateral format, it should be signed. If someone wants to help, we don't mind that either. However, this help cannot be mandatory, because some are now competing for hosting negotiations in this country, that country or elsewhere. It is a bit like a geopolitical rivalry. I wouldn't want that. I would not want Armenia-Azerbaijan relations to become a geopolitical issue. This is an issue between our two countries, and we have to solve it ourselves. If we agree, a peace treaty will be signed. If we do not reach an agreement, then either the negotiations will continue or they will stop. Both options are possible.
Ya danışıqlar dayandırılacaq, hər iki variant da mümkündür.